Welcome to the Jan Meeuwsen Garden Show on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC. It's your opportunity to learn more about your garden and your yard, about dealing with pests, and about taking care of the birds. You can be part of the show with your questions at 395-1450. That's 395-1450. And now, from De Bruyne Seeds on Washington Avenue in Zeeland, here's the master gardener, Jan Meeuwsen.
Your thumb, you can very easily miss those guys. You can just put some BT, which stands for Bacillus thuringiensis, put it on your plant, spray it on, dust it on, whatever you want to do. They have to ingest it, but once they ingest it, once they eat it, that it interferes with their digestive system and they do die. So you might want to do that, or you might want to just kind of take a good look at your tomato plants. I mean, you might want to stop and just look to see if you see anything moving, because honestly, those tomato worms are hard to find. And once you find them, just pick them off and put them in a can of soapy water that you're carrying along with you, and they will die in there. It's not fun to do these. I hate doing those great big old worms, but that is kind of living in Michigan type thing. And if we would have been, with it, a month ago when their little moths were flying around and laying their eggs, we could have put a cover over our tomato plants, a row cover, so the butterflies or the moths couldn't get at it and lay their eggs. But we didn't do that, and I didn't do that. So I've been looking every night just like you do, and I have got some tomato plants they're taking over. I have got a cherry tomato plant that's as tall as I am, and it's about 4 feet wide. And it was a sickly little plant that I brought home from De Bruyne's. We've got another tomato plant that we threw behind the building of De Bruyne's that was really kind of sickly. And my gosh, the boys are always going back there and picking cherry tomatoes off that thing and putting them on my desk. So, yes, there is, it's been a good year for tomatoes. It's been warm enough. They've been producing a lot, but do keep an eye out for any kind of caterpillar activity on there. Again, the same on your cabbage and broccoli and Brussels sprouts. Those little tiny white butterflies, they're the ones that lay the eggs for those little teeny tiny green worms that look like kind of an inchworm type thing. Again, BT, dusted or sprayed on your plants. It's organic. It won't hurt you or anything else. So it's the way to go. We'll be right back with the garden show after these messages.
Join me for West Michigan Farm News every weekday on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.
Ooh, like this one. Anything that comes in with a bass has got to be good. There we go. Okay. Well, hey, I'm Jan. This is the Garden Show. If you got a question, give me a call. 616-395-1450. 616-395-1450 is the number to call. We've been talking about things that cause holes in your leaves, and I'll tell you probably the number one right now is beetles that are doing it. Japanese beetles, you can see them. You can spray your plants. You can pick off the Japanese beetles if they aren't too bad. They're big enough that you can kind of shake into a can too. They fall off a plant very easily. Some people put up traps for them to try to draw them out of their plants and into the trap. I don't know how well that works, but it's a possibility. You'll get a bunch of them. I know that. And every Japanese beetle dead one is a good one, because all they're going to do is lay eggs in your lawn in another month. And, then it turns into grubs in the fall. So we don't want that. So let's get rid of those beetles. I'll tell you the one I'm struggling with is the Oriental garden beetle. They're a smaller beetle. They're not even a half an inch. They're kind of copper colored, and you don't see them during the day. You only ever see them at night. They eat at night, and they can devastate a plant. They can eat back a plant to nothing but stems overnight. So, I mean, you'll have a beautiful geranium plant one day, and the next day you'll just have a stalk sitting in there. That's how bad they are. They hide in the dirt during the day and they come out at night. I did have a problem with them earlier. They seem to be under control now. I did spray some of my plants. Some of my flowers were really getting eaten by those guys. Some of my flowers, hey, they don't go near. Some of them they just love. So, and they'll eat. They're really not that fussy about what, once they'll eat the things that they love, they'll go to the things that they don't love if you don't keep them under control. So, there are sprays. Bayer makes they're not Bayer anymore. It's Bio Advanced makes a wonderful spray for flowers called a rose and flower spray. Or if you want to do the 3-in-1 insect tick and insect mite and disease spray, I do that once a month on my roses. I love that stuff. Keeps all the bugs off. My roses look beautiful. My roses are out of control. They need to be trimmed back, but it's really not the time to do that yet. But yes, I do keep that. And my butterfly bush is taller than I am. And I had cut that thing down to the ground last spring. My goodness, it's huge. It's beautiful. It is covered in butterflies. Absolutely covered in butterflies. You go there and you shake the bush and you'll see butterflies flying out all over the place. It is so much fun. Love that bush. I know it's an invasive thing. You got to keep it under control. But my goodness, when those little buds come out, the little spiky things come out, they're all over that. So, but you got to remember that if you have butterflies, you're going to have caterpillars. But they usually lay their eggs right on the bush, and it doesn't seem to bother the bush too much. So, hey, I'm loving that my butterfly bush. I wished I would have planted it years ago. And it's near my roses and it doesn't seem to bother them at all. So it's kind of fun, but do take a look at your plants. Do see if they've been being eaten. That's one thing. Another thing right now is, cutting off your flowers that are dead. If you do that, you'll have, more flowers coming in. That's always a good thing. So you need to get out there and deadhead. I like to do that, maybe every couple days, go out there and pick off what's dead. My zinnias right now are looking beautiful. And hey, you know what? I don't care if they look beautiful outside. I cut them and I bring them in all the time. And the more I do that, the more zinnias I get. So that's the fun part of it. I am getting nothing but pink and orange zinnias this year, but that's okay. They're just as pretty as the other ones are, but my goodness, they have been blossoming like crazy. They have loved the sun. So I have thoroughly enjoyed them. My mandavillas, my goodness, my diplodenias, I guess, they call them. They are just beautiful. And they're ones that I had held over the winter, and I had forgotten they were white and pink, but they're beautiful. I love those things. Yeah, it's just a nice plant to have, and they are doing well, even though they're kind of near the cherry tomato, which is trying to take over everything in my garden. So got to be careful. Peppers are doing well. Green beans they are so full of blossoms right now. It's almost crazy, but I just planted another set of green beans to have in the fall. And this is a good time to do that sort of thing. If you want a fall garden, and honestly, a fall garden is so much more fun than a summer garden because you don't have to worry about that many bugs or diseases at that time of year. That is the best part of doing a fall garden. So if you really seriously want to do it, right now would be a great time to plant broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, all from seed. So they would be big in the fall when it's cooler, and then you can harvest them then. Honestly, some things just taste better when they're harvested in the cool weather. And some things like kale even get a little bit sweeter if they're touched by a little frost. I mean, we can't get like 28 degrees in the garden because that will kill things. But if it's just going to be down to 30, it's fine. Just getting that little tiny bit of frost on those things. They just look much better. And if you want to do peas for fall garden, I would plant them now, and then they will be up, in September when we want some cooler weather and we want to get some nice peas at the time. Who gets fresh snow peas in the fall except for you, because you were smart enough to plant pea seeds now. So get out to the brines, get some pea seed or whatever you used in spring. If you still got some left, let's redo them. Let's get some more peas going. We can do carrots, we can do beets. Usually in August is when we put in turnips for the fall. You could also, again, carrots and beets in August also. It's getting near that time, so let's get those in. So, get them all set to go. Get the garden set to go. Because I know there are some things in my garden that are not looking that good anymore. Time to go. The broccoli from spring is pretty much done. That needs to go. I've got some space in the garden, so I can start putting it toward other things. The lettuce I had planted earlier bolted, so that's out of there now. Lettuce and spinach in the fall are a wonderful crop to do, so you might want to think about doing that too in the fall when it's cooler weather. So get that started, get that going in your garden. We gardeners, we like to do this. If I could do gardening in the winter too, I would. I do it as much as I can indoors, but you get that bug and you just want to keep going and keep going. So, keep planting. You can still get more stuff in your garden. So, and keep that garden, keep the garden up to date, keep it weeded. I know that is just the bane of every gardener out there is pulling weeds, but we need to do that. We need to get it clean. There's some people I just want to hoe and keep it clean myself. I don't want to use any chemicals, but this year those weeds just took over. So preen has been used in my garden. It works fine once you get it all weeded. Put the preen on it, water it in, and you won't get anything coming up from seed, any of the weeds coming up from seed after that. So you can even read the label. There's a lot of vegetable seeds that you can still plant, even though you put preen down. So do read the label before you put it down. Otherwise, you got to wait until your vegetables are up and growing. But yes, it's a backache in a bag. I love preen. Really helps me out because I don't have all the time in the world to be weeding a garden. I just don't have that time anymore in my life. I don't know why, but but keep it weeded. And the reason why we keep it weeded, it just makes me cringe when I see a garden full of weeds, is those weeds are taking all the nutrients out of the soil that your plants need. So keep it weeded so your plants can get the nutrition out of the soil, so the weeds aren't hogging it up. The weeds aren't taking all the moisture. The weeds are also a great place for insects to hide and for the disease spores to hide. So we want to get those weeds out of there. They're just absolutely no good to come from weeds. There are some weeds that are good that you can actually eat. I won't do it, but I had to do it when I was little. My dad loved purslane, and it's the bane of every gardener out there because it doesn't just spread out, it spreads up. It goes everywhere, and you can get it out of the garden, and 2 days later, it's just as bad. So, but you can eat it. It can be sautéed. You can put it in a salad. I'm not really terribly fond of it because I had to eat it as a kid. But hey, if you didn't have to eat it as a kid, you can probably learn to love it now. If you like all the kale and collards and things like that, you'll like it. It's not horrible. It's more of a succulent type plant. I think I just didn't like the feel of it in my mouth more than anything. But I won't eat it. But I know some friends of mine that actually do have a little patch of purslane in their garden that they keep and they use. So it is a thought. So you might want to look at, gardening with some of your weeds, but keep them weeded too. Don't let the grasses and all that come up in between those. So keep those gardens weeded. We got more to talk about after the news at the bottom of the hour here, and we will be back with the garden show after that.
Hi, this is Mark Vandenbosch of Zeeland Lumber and Supply. Join me Saturday afternoons at noon for the At Home Show on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.
All right, I'm supposed to sing along with this, kind of humming along here. We're back to the garden show here. My name is Jan. We're here for the next half hour, 20 minutes or so. If you need to got a question about your garden or whatever, give me a call. 616-395-1450. 616-395-1450. Absolutely blanked out on what the phone number was. That is terrible, Jan. All right. I have, Houston, I will tell you, the mosquitoes have landed in the area. There are areas around here that the mosquitoes at night are so thick, it's ridiculous right now. Remember that the mosquitoes now, there was one, in in Kent County that got the Jamestown Canyon virus, but there's also Zika, West Nile. There's Eastern equine encephalitis. There's lots of them out there. Oh, we do have a caller on the line. Good morning, caller. You're on the garden show.
Yes, I have a question about, a forsythia plant that
Sure.
comes in the spring.
Yes, your beautiful yellow plant. Yes.
Yeah, can you transplant that any time of the year?
As long as it's not blooming, I would think it's fine. And if I transplant, I wouldn't do it in the hot of the day, but I would do it in the morning or the evening. That would be fine.
Okay, and then do you trim it down or just keep it?
Oh, you can't keep those things trimmed down, but yes, I would trim it back down before I got it out of the ground just to make it easier to transplant.
Okay, and then what do you do with the cuttings?
Do you have a compost pile?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can put them on there.
Okay. All right. We will do that then. Thank you.
Yeah, have fun.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I know when you first, you do your landscaping, you think that this will be perfect here and this will be perfect here. And then when everything starts to come out, some things just don't look quite right. And you have to move them around. And yes, you can move most things around for as long as they're not in bloom. I mean, I wouldn't be doing the hostas right now because most of those are in flower. But once the flowers are gone, feel free to dig them up and transplant them, divide them and transplant them wherever you want. A lot of our perennials should be dug up every couple of years and divided and transplanted all over. I mean, you get extra plants that way, or you can give them away or put them somewhere else in your garden, but it works well. So we need to get out there and think about where we want to do it. Again, don't do it if they're blossoming, and don't do it in the heat of the day. It's really hard to keep those roots happy in the heat of the day. And make sure you've got the hole ready to go put it in. We don't want to have it sitting out in the hot sun for a couple of days while you decide where you want to go with it. Make sure you've got it decided where you want to go, dig the hole, and then dig it up and transplant it. On the bigger things, it's easier if you trim them back a little bit first before you dig it out, just because if you've ever dug something out that's 6 foot tall, you're going to be just nothing but scratches, and you're going to look like you were in a fight after you got that done. So cut it back before you do transplant it. Hydrangeas, I know a lot of people want to transplant those. Again, not a good idea right now because they're beautiful right now in full bloom. So do wait until they're done blooming before if you want to transplant them anywhere. And to do that, just keep that in mind. Okay, we were talking about mosquitoes out there. If you want to, have your backyard back again, we do have the Spartan mosquito eradicators that you hang up in a tree, about 50 feet away from where you want to be. I guess it doesn't have to be a tree. You just hang it up. And the mosquitoes will come to it rather than coming to you, which is kind of a nice thing. They work for about, 60 days. So probably the end of mosquito season here for sure. So, but that would work. You can spray your backyard, and what do I spray it with? We do have sprays. That'll be fine. Make sure that you cover all the bushes and any landscaping. Make sure you cover all of that because that's where the mosquitoes are hiding during the day. Make sure we get it all. Some of the mosquito spray also will get rid of ticks. So if you want to get rid of ticks too, that would be a 2-for-1 type thing. Again, BT is something that you can spray. It doesn't last as long as the other things do, but you can spray it for mosquitoes. It works better if you use the BT in standing water. Say you've got a bird bath, you might want to put some BT in that. It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to hurt your dog, your cat, or anything else, or the birds that are in the bird bath. BT is Bacillus thuringiensis. It is a protein that's found in the soil. So as a kid, I think I ate enough dirt. So, and I never really got that sick. So I think it's fine for you. So don't worry about you or the birds. But we do have, some little mosquito dunks that you can break off and throw in your bird bath every time you put new water in there. It prevents mosquito larvae from forming and hatching. If you've got areas in your backyard that are wet after a rain, and I know you just can't get rid of it, you just have to wait, throw some mosquito dunks in there also. It just keeps the mosquitoes from breeding. They can't do it in water that has BT in it. So get that covered and make sure that you've got your screens. They're repaired and properly sealed on your windows so they can't come inside. Nothing's worse than having mosquitoes inside the house. So just keep that in mind. And remember, mosquitoes are the most dangerous animal in the world. We don't want them around us. And we need to stop, take a break, but we'll be back right after these messages.
Saturdays are special with the David Carrier Show, Money Matters, the Jan Meeuwsen Garden Show, and the At Home Show. All on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was in another world here. Like that music. I guess I was in another world. This is Jan, and we're doing the garden show. We still have another 10 minutes or so. We still have time for a caller or two. 616-395-1450. 616-395-1450 is the number to call if you got a question about your gardening or whatever. Or if you're just enjoying your Saturday morning outside. And you should be outside because it is a lovely, 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 lovely day out there today. This is what summers are all about. Excuse me, I keep having to cough here. I don't know what's going on here. Okay, so what was I going to talk about? Maybe just birds. It's kind of fun to talk about birds in the summer. Um, you know, with the the avian influenza out there, I still enjoy feeding my birds. The small birds are not going to be the ones that are carrying the avian influenza, so you really don't have to worry about them. But you, excuse me, but you do have to worry about keeping their feeders clean during the summer. This is the hot, especially humid weather. Well, if you have that, a seed feeder where all the seed gets stuck at the bottom and it kind of forms that mess at the bottom, that's a great place for salmonella to breed. And we don't want our little birds to get that. So it's best to clean that out. I finally got bird feeders that are easy to clean where you can take the bottom out and that will just fall out, clean it out. You can use a dilute bleach solution. I can say that, which would be 1 part bleach to 10 parts water. Rinse out your feeder very well. Rinse off the perches where they and around there where the little birds are, and then let it dry completely. Fill it up, put it back together, fill it up, and put it back out for the birds to enjoy. It works well. Hummingbird feeders, really nectar in hot weather needs to be changed every 3 to 4 days. And if it gets cloudy before that, do get that feed out of there, get that nectar out of there, clean out the bird feeder well. Again, you can use a dilute bleach solution and clean out that feeder well before putting more nectar in. When I make nectar, I usually make extra nectar. So then every couple of days, I can just bring the feeder in, dump out what they didn't like, clean it out. And then I've always got some in the refrigerator that I can put back in. They seem to like it cold. They seem to, when I put out the cold nectar, they seem to really enjoy that. So just like my cat loves to have ice cubes put in his water, maybe don't think I'd put ice cubes in it. I don't think I want to dilute it, but they do like it when it comes out of the refrigerator and I put it out there. Maybe they know it's fresh when I come out there. I don't know, but they're usually out there right then waiting for me. So keep those feeders, the nectar feeders clean, keep the suet feeders clean. There is if you put jelly out there, I know there's a lot of birds that absolutely love jelly. And one of the birds that loves jelly is hummingbirds. And unfortunately, if you've got one of those feeders that's just like an open dish to put jelly in, they'll land in it and they get covered in jelly and then they can't fly. And you might as well, just kill it right there. So do protect your jelly feeders so they can only get just a little bit out at a time and they can't take a bath in it because we don't want that to happen. Because I don't know, I don't think even I could, as gentle as I could try to wash off a hummingbird would be really, really tough to do. So keep those jelly feeders so the hummingbirds can't take a bath in it, and then I will be very happy. And we cleaned our feeders. We've got feeding our little birds. We're not feeding the domestic or the undomesticated wild birds, the larger waterfowl, the ducks, etc., that are carrying the avian influenza around here. Remember, one was found in an eagle in Allegan County last week. So do be careful with that. If you've got chickens or whatever, make sure that you keep them safe. You can eat a chicken that has avian influenza. That's not a problem. And you can also eat their eggs, but it does make them sick and they will die. So we don't want that. And once one gets it, they do suggest that you do take care of the whole herd, the whole flock, so not herd, the whole flock. So that's the reason eggs are so expensive. One bird in a flock gets it, and they got to kill, thousands of birds. So yes, do be careful. That's just a common sense thing. Keep the wild waterfowl away from your birds. Keep the wild, large birds away from your chickens. Don't let your chickens run wild in the backyard. where they can be somehow get some interchange with the wild waterfowl. That's the problem. We don't want that to happen. But we do want you outside in the garden, playing around, weeding, taking care of things, looking for bugs, just enjoying your harvest right now. Because right now I'm getting a lot of stuff in the house all the time. My peppers have suddenly decided to all make huge peppers all at the same time. This is wonderful. I keep pinching off buds, make them make bigger peppers, and they're just going like crazy. My tomatoes are going like nuts. I know my sister had so many tomatoes. She was making salsa the other day. So yes, they are producing. Enjoy the harvest in your garden right now. Do be careful. I mean, do wash the things off, even if you've sprayed them with something organic. Do clean your vegetables carefully before you do eat them. Even if you bought them from the farmer's market and they said they were organic, do clean them off very, very well before we take them in and eat them. All right. I've been told I've only got just a couple minutes left here. So I will remind you, I will be back here on Tuesday morning at 8:35 with Dan. My goodness. I'm like, no, that can't be his name. No, it is Dan. I'll be here 8:35 on Tuesday morning with Dan. And then I'll be here at 10 o'clock with Gary from 10 until 11. And I actually will be here in the studio. I won't do the Google Meets because we were having a problem with Google Meets last week. So we're just going to do it live like we used to do it pre-COVID. So hopefully that will work better. And I will be back here next Saturday live in person. It won't be Memorex. So Saturday at 11 for the garden show. So I think I've got that right. Garden party at 8:35 on Tuesday. Garden hour at 10 o'clock at Talk of the Town. And then the garden show here on Saturday next week. Starts at about 11:05 or whenever the news is over. If you got some garden questions, write them down. I always love to hear about, or even just hear about your garden. What's growing well, what isn't growing well. I've got most of my stuff that's growing pretty well, so I'm pretty happy this year. Things are growing. They're doing well. Hopefully you have the same thing. And I just want to wish you a wonderful week. And until next Saturday, go green.
You've been listening to the Jan Meeuwsen Garden Show on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com. If you wish to hear this or other programs hosted by the Master Gardener from De Bruyn Seeds in Zeeland, check out the podcast section of our website, WHTC.com, and listen or download for free. The Jan Meeuwsen Garden Show is a presentation of 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.